Wizards, welcome back as always. It's good to see you. Now, it seems like lately when I've done reviews, I've been showing you something that's completely horrible, like only one of these two things. It's either completely horrible or it's really, really good. I pretty much only do like S tier and F tier. Thankfully, today's product is really, really good, even if the crappy product ones are usually a lot funnier videos. But what I like about today's optic is it's about a quarter of the price of the EOTech 3-18 Voodoo that I've been using on the platform we're gonna test it on today. And what's interesting, after doing all the shooting and the whole review, I don't really feel like I'm sacrificing anything, even paying a ton less. And in fact, and I think they kind of did this on accident, like they aimed for more of a PRS, but outside of what they tried to make, I think they accidentally made one of the best prepared citizen mid-range optics that I've used yet. And that optic we'll be reviewing today, and the one you should probably keep your eye on, is the Vector Optics 3-18 first focal plane with the SCFF28 reticle. Now, as I said, this optic is sold in kind of their PRS lineup, and sure, you could do that. You could try to do some of the competitions and things like that with the way they have some of the smart reticles set up. But a lot of times, PRS is more about who spent the most money, and this optic really makes for some extremely fast target acquisition with the middle dot and the mill markings to use holdover or turret rotation to do something crazy that makes it fill a lot more roles than I think it's meant for. And the more I look at it, I don't understand how an optic of this price has features that are included that some of the more expensive ones that I have don't. It's completely baffling, and I'll show you. But first, let's do sponsor love. Today's video is sponsored by Fatboy Tripods. Fatboy just released the all-new Pursuit 18 tripod. The Pursuit 18 is designed to be an easily packable tripod that goes from 18 inches to about 4.5 feet in height with the invert 50 head. With the 3 leg positions, you can also set up the perfect position to glass on a ridge or get low to stay still and quiet for the perfect shot. Fatboy tripods are just mastering accuracy, literally anywhere. We actually got to use the Pursuit 18 in all of our footage today, where I connected up our spotting scope and our camera so it can record all our footage out on our target. So if you want to pick up one of these little guys and get a more portable version of the amazing Fatboy tripods, make sure to use discount code TLDco over on the Fatboy website, and keep an eye out for more information on this guy. But big thanks to Fatboy for always supporting us in all of our reviews, definitely pun intended. But let's get into my biases real quick before we get into this optic. Vector did send us this 3-18 PRS for review, and I've been surprised by how well these optics have performed, but I've only seen this one and their other 2-12 that I have. Vector Optics has been a pretty unknown brand to me until recently. They've been making a lot of noise in the industry apparently, and a lot of people have been taking note, and it kind of made its way to me, and we started looking at their optics. We do have a discount code, and I have been starting to like their optics a lot, so I think there's a good bit of bias there. But I also don't know anybody at Vector, so we can be as mean as we want, which kind of stinks because this is actually a really good optic. But it's thanks to our Patreon supporters we can say and do whatever we want. Don't take anything that I say or any other YouTuber says as gospel. No one is answering like 100 Instagram DMs for free, so that should make you ask some hard questions. Do your own research so you can be the most educated consumer possible. Now, I already zeroed this and mounted it to our Stellar Arms 6mm Arc Executive, and I was getting crazy results, like quarter MOA at 600 yards. I don't understand, but now that it's mounted, I'm just gonna continue the review. I'm not taking this apart again. I always laugh at how much everybody just hates the gold gun, which makes it even funnier that it has some ungodly level of accuracy that just doesn't make any sense. But let's get this optic started, go out on the bench. The Vector Continental 3-18 is a 34mm scope that looks pretty normal and nicely done when you first look at it. But I'll say, when you start to dive deeper, you see some of the craziness going on that makes no sense at all at this price point. Starting first at the simple stuff, the diopter, we see the same design from the 2-12 with the nice rubberized ring and indexing mark. The diopter is buttery smooth and better than most top-tier scopes I've seen. Moving back, we have our magnification ring that has these knurled slots all around, but this time I'm using the Vector throw lever as it makes this setup a ton nicer to use. I want to take a minute too and say how cool Vector was from a company standpoint too. Like in my review, I complained about how that optic, the 2-12, really needs a throw lever, and they completely agreed, and they're like, yeah, you should have one for this too. And I also complained in the previous review that their scope mount is really, really well done, but it needs to have the torque values included somewhere. And it was cool then to see that they heard me and added those torque values directly to the mount, so you knew the specs without having to dig through a manual. And I had to pause for a moment and just say, Vector, I'm impressed. It's wild when a company takes feedback and looks at it and then says, yeah, we need to improve. Like you heard where I struggled as a consumer and as an end user when using the item and saying, hey, this will make it better. And you just changed it and made it better. It's just crazy in this day and age when what seems like so simple. But back on the scope, the magnification ring is the slightest bit on the tight side. But I'm being nitpicky, and the whole movement from 3 to 18 is about 180 degrees of throw. I again highly recommend the throw lever. Looking at the turrets, we see the shining spot that made me love the 2 to 12. The elevation turret is locking, so you pull up to adjust, and each click is 0.1 mil increments and gives you a clean, audible, and tactile feel to know you're making solid adjustments. I'll get to it later when we go to the range part of the video, but the turrets made zeroing so easy. I think it was like 2 shots and I was done in just a few minutes. There were like 4 to 5 other guys just trying to zero their rifles for deer season. And I sit down and I'm like, bore sight, pow. Okay, look, click, click, pow. And I just get up. It was super easy. I just don't understand how they're this great. And while I'm a holdover guy, the turrets also have a marker indicator that pops up at different colors to give you a visual indication if you've gone 1 or 2 full mils in rotation, so you can easily see where you're at in terms of adjustment. Does my EOTech Voodoo have that? No, it does not. Does my Night Force ATACR have that? No, it does not. But my cheap Vector does. That hurts my brain. You can also just unscrew the cap with the coin to reset your zero, so it's fast and easy to set, even if you're in the field. The windage is the same without the full rotation marker. It still has a locking turret that you pull out to adjust with the clean windage clicks, just the same as the elevation. It's just a great little optic for what you get. And one thing I didn't notice that they actually include is a different elevation scope cap. This one doesn't have the little marker when you do the mill rotations. So if you just wanted a standard cap, you can switch it out so they're the same on the windage and elevation. So I don't know why I would want to do that, but they do include it. Moving to the side of the scope, the Parallax control uses the same cutout design of the magnification with a pretty wild range of like 10 yards out to infinity. And the short parallax really makes the 3X feel super solid. I will say it seems like the focus doesn't go out as far as like the Zeiss per se, like we saw with the 2 to 12, but for 1,000-yard distances, this thing will work great. The illumination uses a 2032 battery that's easy to access, and there are 6 settings with off in between, but the illumination is, well, it's kind of bad. It's just the center circle dot that's illuminated, and it's pretty difficult to see even if it's in the dark. So that part is not the best. I don't use illumination on scopes very much, and as they design this for PRS, maybe they're expecting the end user to be shooting more out in the day or having more illuminated targets. So just know that if you are using this, it's gonna be a little more challenging in the dawn and the dusk. I really wish they would have changed the way the illumination works to at least have some of the mill markers along the side so you can have some wind adjustment and definitely some elevation. That would make the whole optic far more usable throughout the whole day and not just when it's bright and sunny out. Now included though, they also give you a see-through bikini cover that is awesome and a scope shade for the front. Now the X AccuMount is also one of the smartest with the newly added torque values I mentioned, but the magic, as I said on the 2 to 12, is in the mounting. The top plate can be removed and replaced with this one that has a slot for locking lugs. so you can attach in any of the various plates in the center or along the side of the optic to mount a red dot easily without having to remove or loosen your optic. Again, I think it's worth noting, I don't understand how the best red dot mounting system for a scope is made by Vector Optics. It's kind of crazy. This whole optic, just from beginning to end, honestly just confuses me to no end, because you have quality parts everywhere and there's nothing that completely sucks. Well, the illumination does kind of suck, but that's pretty much every scope ever. But let's do some tests and let me show you a little bit more about how this thing shines. I do want to clean this up a little bit and go into more of the focus test, because I think we have talked about a couple of these things already, so I don't want to rehash them. But let's get into one of the powerhouse tests, the one that I think people measure most scopes value by. This was pretty crazy. Image quality. Here, the Vector 3-18 glass really impressed me, and I don't get how this price range of optic is offering this tier at all. I was even laughing to myself about it as I was aiming at individual divots on the target while I was shooting out to 450 yards. The optic has no business having glass this good. Now let me give you some reference points so I can give you some context. I get to review a ton of different optics. I really only put the glass in like one or two different categories. It's either number one, meh, it's fine and I can deal with it, or two, it's holy crap, wow. There really aren't any higher tiers of holy crap, wow, at least not with my crappy eyesight. I can either read the signs way out there or I can't, and that's the difference. And the Vector has that holy crap glass. I had one commenter just recently on the 212 video that left like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He was on there like, I don't think that's actually German shot glass. And I have to say, I don't care. Like, I don't care where the glass came from. When I'm out there with the 2-12, I didn't even know what was in it, and I'm just looking at it, looking through it, and using it and saying, this glass is fantastic. So why does it matter? Why is that comment value added to anyone? Anyone with a fully working brain and fully working eyeballs, that helps too, can look through either of these optics and see the image is on par with optics that are 4 times the cost. So yeah, the 3-18 does use German shot glass because, it's written on the website and it's included in the manual. But as the end user, that's fluff stuff to me. I don't care, because I can look through it and say, yeah, it looks amazing. And everything, like every conversation beyond that, it's just Reddit whining. All right, enough of that rant. I'm also realizing I'm way out of order, but I do think this is a bit more fluid. But let's go back for a second and talk about the reticle, because when I first looked through it, I didn't love it, but using it at the range, I was like, okay, this thing is really growing on me. The reticle we have has a 0.2 mil center dot, so you can actually make some fast target acquisition, but then also has 0.2 mil markers on both the windage and elevation, with larger mil markers to separate the full mil increments, like we normally see. The lower Christmas tree also has windage markers, so it's far easier to find like 2.2 mil down and 1 mil to the right. I mean, yeah, you could do that, but I think in that situation, it makes a lot more sense to adjust your windage and then just use your elevation for holdover. But I'm getting off target, you can do whatever you want. I did find I wish there was 0.1 mil markers out on the end like you see on some other optics, so I could make some more precise measurements. It wouldn't really clutter anything, as I'm not using 7.6 mils for windage anyway. I mean, it would have to be like a 50 or 60 mile per hour wind, so it would definitely be getting exciting. But the interesting thing was, and kind of what I was alluding to when I went to go use it, when I used that large center dot and those mil markings, I found I had that faster transition, faster target acquisition at close range because I had that larger dot, and then I could still make all those precise measurements with the mil markings out to range. So I kind of had the best of both worlds. I'll explain with some of my footage from the range. Just doing our initial zero, this was insanely easy, as I mentioned, as the optic has nice clean clicks and uses an easy to measure reticle with the distance and mil markers, and has a big center dot to get consistent shots. I figured 100 yards would be a little bit too easy, as my trigger cam can't pick up the detail of what I was seeing, but I was actually aiming at the individual divots on the steel, so I figured I could just push it a little. Aiming at 200, this was hilariously easy as it was on-ish with our 0 at 50 yards. I even took a pot shot at some debris to make things a little harder, and I missed it by such a hilariously small margin. If I did one more click up, I tell you I would have had it. Moving to 300, for some reason my brain left my body, and I put the 1.1 mil marker in the dirt, but the glass was so good I immediately saw what I was doing wrong and saw the impact and corrected to get our shots just stacking on top of one another at 300 yards. That's insanity. Moving to 430, we were again having a great time, just nailing the target with ease, with the mil markers giving an easy reference to stay on target. 560, again, super fun, and the reticle markings and glass quality made stacking these two shots easy yet again. I think you're seeing a theme. So easy, in fact, I figured we'd shoot at some of the debris in the distance at 650 yards. I wasn't exactly sure how far this was at the time, but the glass was so good I could easily see the impacts and just walk it in at 4.1 mils and then take a shot to bust up that little guy. The optic and rifle combo, like shooting that, was so hilariously easy that it was almost boring, to the point where just shooting at the targets wasn't hard enough, and it was more challenging and fun to shoot at random debris or like little tiny clay pigeons at 650 yards. That was super fun. Now the 6-arc setup, this thing is absolutely crazy, and it definitely helped with some of the accuracy, but the Vector 3-18 stood toe-to-toe with the EOTech Voodoo 3-18 that I had on this previously, and I'll even go so far as to say I actually had a little bit more fun with the Vector than I did with the EOTech. The Vector just had a far more usable 3x that felt strong, and the entire magnification range was usable, so I could go all the way to 18x and have a nice clean image. Whereas on the EOTech, I had to go back to 16 because the max magnification was degraded, and the 3x image with this reticle is completely useless. And from a pros and cons standpoint of the Vector, I think it's pretty clear that the glass just shouldn't be as good as it is, and the turrets make both zeroing and turret adjustment fantastic. Plus, the red dot mounting is the best I've ever seen. Con-wise, the illumination is confusing, and even when it does work, I honestly thought it was broken. I mean, when it really gets down to it, for a quarter of the cost, I guess I'll take some wonky illumination. But let's get down to it, find out exactly what is my final thoughts and rankings of this guy. I had the most fun at the range I've had in a long time, having a great combination of accuracy and optics to push myself to shoot at even smaller targets at even further distances. The reticle is a perfect combination of close engagement speed with the dot and long-range precision with the holdover markings. The price tag with all this is just Vector showing off, and for that reason, I gave the Vector 3-18 PRS an A+ rating. Even without illumination, this was just a stupidly fun optic, and I think anybody who's just getting started in optics, or just maybe getting started doing some mid-range shooting or dipping their toes into PRS, you're going to be insanely happy with this optic, particularly when you didn't really spend all that much money. Now, does it beat my Zeiss S3 in terms of PRS performance? Well, no, but the Zeiss is 4 times the cost, and it's impressive the Vector can hold its own, like stand next to a powerhouse like the S3 optic. I'm personally continually surprised that I keep liking what I would assume to be budget optics. Like, they have the price tag of a budget optic, but when you use them, there's no features that you're missing. And in fact, you sometimes have features that the expensive ones don't have. It's kind of baffling. So it surprised me every single time. But if there's more Vector optics that they offer that you think I should look at, maybe I haven't heard of, let me know down in the comments, because we can definitely try out some more, see how they do, see if they're as good as this one. But I hope this video on the Vector Optics 3-18 PRS was helpful in your purchasing decisions. I know this video would definitely surprise me if I saw that price tag. But I want to say thanks to all of our Patreon supporters and our YouTube members. You guys make it possible we can test all this and come back and show you optics that punch way, way above their price point. kind of ludicrous. And I want to say thanks to everyone that likes, comments, and subscribes. Comment down below. Comment down below. I want to hear about it. What do you think about that illumination? Let's get some jokes going. I want to hear about it. All right, everybody, Walsh out. I don't even think that is actually German shot glass. The one I have that never comes out of my safe, I don't even know what glass it has. Yeah, okay, this is the end. I'm gonna wrap it up. It just says something that this optic, like, I don't want to take it off of here. Normally, I'll go shoot with it. I'll take the optic off, take it apart, and be like, oh, cool, and maybe I'll go in a pile. Maybe we do a giveaway or something. But this one, that's my phone. This one, to me, I want to keep it on here. It makes this whole setup far more fun, easier to use. It's great. So yeah, cool. That's the end on everything else. It's fantastic out. There is a million airplanes going overhead. Oh, yay. It's touch and goes day. Do you have touch and goes day at your home? Because we do. I also want to share now that I'm cleaning up. I usually bring some coffee just so I can enjoy the review and share with you guys. But I keep it off screen so it's not weird. There is like 12 ladybugs in here. It's disgusting. All right, bye.